It's time for Coach's Corner on KCCR and online at kccr.com. Coach's Corner is brought to you by Todd's Electric, James Pharmacy, Lamb Motors, Avera, Hawaii Federal Credit Union, and Edward Jones Financial. Coach's Corner is also brought to you by Graham Tire, Kruger Contracting, CHS River Plains, Gales Gas, Bank West, and Capital City Ford, Lincoln, and Toyota. From the KCCR studios in Pierre, KCCR award-winning sports director John Winkler.
And we welcome you inside the KCCR studios here on this Wednesday evening as we will talk with head coaches Steve Steele of the Pierre Governors, as well as also Max Foth of the Staley County Buffaloes and Tom Moore of the Slateby Chargers. We'll also talk ESD state tournament coming up for golf and tennis, as we will talk with Coach Tiffany Benham of the golf team and Coach Megan Bauck of the tennis team, as they are set for the final 2 weeks of the season coming up next week, Monday, and then in the following Monday and Tuesday with the tennis and golf, ESD, and state tournaments as their seasons are closing in on the finish. We'll talk with those 5 coaches here on Coach's Corner this evening. We'll return with head coach Steve Steele, the Pierre Governor football team, after this on KCCR and online at kccrradio.com.
Most of us already know that Gales Gas of Pierre is the place to call for propane. They offer an automatic fill plan so you never have to worry about running out of propane. They accept debit and credit payments or a budget payment plan to spread out the cost throughout the year so you never have surprises when you get your bill. For delivery, convenience, and great customer service, call Gales Gas at 224-5518. That's Gales Gas at 224-5518.
This fall, take some time to think about your future while the leaves make their way down to earth and the last sunset of summer leaves us with an autumn chill. It's time to grab the nearest foam finger and break out the face paint. Rush the stands with First Dakota National Bank and forget how to blink. Fall sports are back with jaw-dropping plays, an electric atmosphere, and epic scores. Make some noise with First Dakota National Bank. Open a new account online today at firstdakotanationalbank.com. Member FDIC.
No one likes to have electrical problems, but when they happen, call Todd's Electric at 223-2518. With over 30 years of experience, Todd's Electric can handle any type of electrical problem, whether it's residential, commercial, or agriculture. Their knowledgeable staff knows and understands the importance of your home, business, or ag facility and are prepared to help. That number again is 223-2518. Todd's Electric Service, serving the Pierre-Fort Pierre area. Todd's Electric Service, the line to power.
Let me talk to you.
You're listening to Coach's Corner on Central South Dakota's sports leader, KCCR.
Yeah.
As we welcome you back to Coach's Corner here on KCCR and online at kccrradio.com. Joining me is Coach Steve Steele, the Pierre Governors, and Coach coming in 2-2 now in the season, a loss to Brookings as we get set for a homecoming week or a homecoming game coming up on Friday. We're in the midst of the homecoming week. But let's go back to last Friday's loss to Brookings, and you know there's still some good things to take away from that loss, and obviously still a lot to work on as the Governors want to get better. But you mentioned it against Watertown that these losses in September have a lot less of a sting than they do when it comes to November.
Yeah, I mean, and they still hurt, obviously. And I think this one just hurts. We didn't perform the way that we wanted to offensively. Positive spots. Defense was incredible. Pitching a shutout when we have 5 turnovers is wild. Really 3, I guess, for the defense to deal with. They stood tall and they gave us every opportunity to score points and win the football game. I felt our offensive line had a pretty solid game too. I think they did a pretty good job for the most part. So there's still bright spots. There's still plenty of areas that we need to improve. But again, ultimately, we're still in that growth phase. We're still in September here. We've got plenty of time to still improve and get ready for playoffs.
And the running game, got better as the game went on, rushing wise. Obviously, a fumble in there, and turnovers are drive killers, obviously. But that was the biggest flaw in that second half, rushing wise, was that one fumble. Everything else looked really good on the ground.
Yeah, we had a one play in the second half that kind of killed every drive. We had the fumble that turned it over. We kind of had a mis-exchange on a pitch, that kind of put us behind the sticks, and then we had a snap issue on one that kind of put us behind sticks. And again, Brookings is a phenomenal defense. They did a great job keeping us off balance and limiting gains, I guess I should say. I think our longest game might have been 10 or 12. So I mean, when you're not able to look at a play downfield and stretch the field, you just really can't afford to get behind the sticks. And we were one play away on a few different drives, and that's why we weren't able to get in there.
Now, obviously, as the schedule is for other years, you get a tough stretch of time, but right now you're in the midst of probably the four toughest games of the year with Watertown, Brookings last week, and then you have Yankton this week, O'Gorman next week. But obviously, the focus being on Yankton. But overall, this is a really tough stretch for the Governors to be in this point of the season.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the standings. I mean, Watertown and Brookings are more than likely going to finish 1-2. Yankton is amongst the top of that group of everybody else with us. So it's just a battle. That's what it is, and we've got to be prepared to play close football games. And I think once we can find a way to get over that hump and close one out, I think that's the most important part for this group going forward is, we've got two more opportunities that we're going to have really tough games in a row, and obviously there'll be tough ones after that too, but we've got to find ways to win a tough battle, and have that confidence that we know we can do it.
Yankton at 2-2. They lost to Watertown. They lost their AAA opponent in Harrisburg, which was last Friday. What have you seen from them on film? Anything different than what the Yankton Bucks usually do offensively and defensively?
Offensively, not a lot. I think they're still a very similar team. They're a little more run-centric, especially with the quarterback. Cam Schaff last year was a tremendous passer. This he's a good passer. I don't know that he's quite as good as Cam Schaff was in terms of throwing, but he is very, very mobile. He's a very good runner, and he can make plays and open people up with his legs. So, they still have their tempo offense. They'll still move fast. They still spread the ball around. They've still got a really good crew of skilled players to spread the ball around too. So, it's going to be a tough opponent. Defensively, they're still pretty similar. They do some multiple fronts, and they've got a really good defense. They've got probably the most back of anyone in the class on that side of the ball. They've got a stud middle linebacker, a stud defensive end, two returning D tackles, some DBs that are back. So, it's going to be another tough cookie to crack.
I'm not going to try and get you in trouble here, but an honest question to you. Homecoming week after two losses in a row, you get homecoming week, homecoming game. Is that a good thing to have, of the extra excitement, the extra energy that can bring for a homecoming game, or is that something you're going, boy, I wish homecoming might have been next week or the next home game, not so much this game? Is there a difference to how this can be? How can this be used positively as homecoming?
Yeah, I said obviously we don't pick it, so it's just kind of it is what it is thing. But I don't think that it's a bad thing at all. I think especially just the way the last two games are. Any energy and excitement's a good thing right now, and obviously there's disappointment around the last two games, but there's a lot of energy and excitement and positivity going forward. So I think adding all of those things with a homecoming week is a good thing. It's another way to kind of move past some of the frustration and get more into the excitement mode, as opposed to the frustration mode of we got to go win. It takes some of the pressure off and just lets kids have a little bit more fun.
And talking about pressure too, obviously the defense, they want to keep doing what they've been doing the last couple weeks, because even with the Watertown game, just 3 touchdowns allowed defensively over those last two games combined. But for the offense, how key is it to get on the board early on in that first couple drives to alleviate some of that pressure?
Yeah, it would be huge. The most important thing is that we move the ball. We can't afford turnovers. We can't afford 3-and-outs. We've got to move the ball. I think that's I think our defense has been phenomenal dealing with field position. I think if we can win the field position and end up with some short fields, then those are the moments we've really got to capitalize. I think that's really the biggest focus going forward, is we've got to find ways to consistently move the ball, not have any turnovers. You look at our first two games, that was the biggest difference to the first two to the second two, was we had no turnovers in the first two games, and we've had 10, I think, 9 in the last two games. So that's just the biggest difference. So if we can stay on the field, then, and even if we just push the field position battle, eventually we'll be able to overtake that the way our defense is playing right now.
Talking with Coach Steve Steele here of the Pierre Governors as they will take on the Yankton Bucks at 7 o'clock on Friday for the homecoming game. We'll have coverage starting at 6:30, kickoff at 7 o'clock on KCCR and on YouTube at KCCR Sports. Let's transition a little bit to the NFL, talk some Detroit Lions. Actually, we can talk a little bit about Michigan football, too, because it was a good start to a very nervous, almost nervous finish to a win over USC.
Yeah, I mean, that was a really fun football game to watch. Just Michigan old school football. They ran the ball for 300 yards, they threw the ball for 32, and they beat a top 15 team. So that's a really big confidence builder for Michigan, especially after they got drubbed by Texas a couple weeks ago. And you're seeing Texas be very, very successful, probably one of the best 2 or 3 teams in the country. So a lot of confidence to be had when they can come out and perform the way they did against USC. Especially they changed quarterbacks. They went from Davis Warren to Alex Orji, and that worked out really, really well. So hopefully a lot of confidence for them going forward.
And then your Lions picked up a win after, bouncing back after the loss, picking up a win and get into a big Monday Night Football game, which, as the Lions have progressed over the last couple of years, it's not as a surprise anymore. But, the younger you would say, boy, they're in, week 4 and they're in a great Monday night matchup. It wasn't what you kind of grew up with, and now you're kind of getting more accustomed to these big matchups in primetime football.
Yeah, and it's exciting to be able to get to watch them. Obviously they're not going to be our local game on Fox or CBS unless they're playing the Vikings or the Broncos, really. So it's really it's fun to be able to watch them as much as I have been the last couple of years, just with them drawing more of those primetime slots. So, really excited the way they're playing. They're doing a lot of really good things right now. That you love the creativity Ben Johnson's got on their offense. They had a beautiful hook and ladder touchdown, throwing to Amon-Ra St. Brown and pitching it back to Jahmyr Gibbs. So, just the creativity they've got and the players they have, the capabilities of moving around has been a lot of fun to watch, and Aiden Hutchinson's been an absolute menace on the D-line.
Does a hook and ladder play sound good to you for randomly throwing it out, whether it be Friday night or any Friday night?
Yeah, you never know. There's definitely always going to be something in the pocket, but I don't know. If we can pull it off as good as they do, then heck yeah, we'll put that thing and we'll use that. But, that was pretty impressive execution by the Lions on that Sunday.
And that was just a random play. It wasn't a...
Yeah, it wasn't a trick play situation.
Yeah, it turned into that, which was pretty cool. Talking with Coach Steve Steele here, the Pierre Governors, again, taking on the Yankton Bucks coming up on Friday. We have coverage at 6:30, kickoff at 7 o'clock. Final question here to wrap things up. Biggest key to a win Friday night on homecoming against Yankton?
We need to win the turnover battle. Number one, first and foremost, we need to be plus on turnovers. If we can do that, I think the field position and the points will take care of themselves.
Coach, I appreciate the time. Good talking to you here this week, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Thanks, John.
As head coach Steve Steele, the Pierre Governors will return with more Coaches Corner after this here on KCCR and online at kccrradio.com. KCCR Radio.
Score big on your next vehicle purchase with Lamb Motor Company in Oneida and Gettysburg, Lamb Chevrolet and Implement in Oneida, and Lamb Auto Sales in Pierre. Check out their large selection of new and pre-owned cars, trucks, and SUVs at any one of their locations, or go online to lambmotor.com. That's LAMBMOTOR.com. Or give them a call today at 800-952-2222. Lamb Motor Company of Oneida and Gettysburg, Lamb Chevrolet and Implement in Oneida, and Lamb Auto Sales in Pierre.
As community bankers, BankWest employees are deeply committed to supporting local causes, growing the local economy, and creating local opportunities. At a time when you can bank anywhere, we hope you choose BankWest. We'll be your financial partner for the long haul, helping you and your community achieve financial success. BankWest. Convenient, connected, committed. Member FDIC.
Hey you. Are you at a job that is fulfilling, has good benefits to support you or a family today, and retirement goes down the road? If you just said no, listen up. CHS River Plains is hiring operations personnel, drivers, and custom applicators at several locations. These come with a knockout affordable benefit package for you and the whole family. Apply to a job with CHS River Plains and up your benefits straight up. To apply, visit us online at chsriverplains.com or stop in at one of our locations. CHS is an equal opportunity employer.
Hey, I'm just here so I don't get fined, so y'all can sit here and ask me all the questions y'all want to. I'm going to answer with the same answer, so y'all can shoot if y'all please.
This is Coach's Corner on your home for the Pierre Governors, KCCR, and online at kccrradio.com.
As we welcome you back to Coach's Corner here on KCCR and online at kccrradio.com. Joining me is Coach Tom Moore of the Syracuse Chargers as they picked up a big win on Friday night against the Potter County Battlers. And first, Coach, before we start talking about this week's opponent, let's go back to last Friday. A big win over Potter County, being able to get the shutout, get the early win, obviously still in the fourth quarter, but still got that early win. How good it was to get that win over the Battlers and, in the way that you guys were able to do it, in all facets of the game, being able to play so well.
Yeah, it was a nice win for the kids. Again, came out right away, got after it. Some of the things that we saw in film to take advantage of, we were able to do so. I was just like how the kids played hard the whole game. It was fun to watch. We kind of got in a hole a little bit, and we had a fumble and a turnover as we get in our red zone. That kind of stunk, but then we got the ball back and kind of got things rolling from there. So it was a good win. It's always a fun win to get a win over your rival.
And then moving into this Friday's game back at home against Faulkton area, they're coming in at 2-2. Now this is a big contest and going to be a fun contest especially from a fan of football. As a coach, I know you're nervous about every game or have those nerves of every game, but to take on a good Faulkton area team that adds a little, I don't want to say pressure, but just adds a little bit to it. But they're coming in at 2-2. Now they're also ranked number 6 in the 9B standings, which then tells you that the 2 losses they have are against some really good teams. This is a really good football team that you're going to see Friday night, right, Coach?
Yeah, without a doubt. They're 2-2, but they're by far the best 2-2 team in the state. I mean, they're a very, very, very good football team. They lost to Warner, which is undefeated. They lost to Leola last week, which is a 9AA school, which is undefeated. So, that's one thing they have, that they've been battle tested already. We haven't really been battle tested. We haven't been punched in the mouth really yet. So it'll be interesting how our kids, how some of that stuff affects you, because they're not going to give you everything that we've gotten in the last 4 games. So we're looking forward to be a fun game, but this is a very, very good football team we're going to go against.
What's some of the good things that they can do? Obviously, you mentioned, too, they lost to Warner by 8, who's undefeated. They scored 20 points against Leola Frederick, who's also undefeated. What are some of the good things that this team and can do? Because they do a lot of good things well, but what some of those things that really stick out?
Up front, they're front 3 or 5 on the O-line, D-line stuff. They're pretty darn good. Really physical. They got 2 tight ends. They're one tight end. The Dieter kid is an exceptional tight end. Catches everything. Is a good blocker. And they're up front on defense. They get off the ball pretty hard. So it's stuff that we haven't really seen too much of this year. We've seen glimpses of it from other teams. So just some adjustments we'll get to make during the week, which is exciting for us to be able to do as coaches. But they're a very well-rounded football team offensively and defensively. But I'd say they're up front is the more potent part of that team.
For your team, who has the least amount of points you've scored in a game is 46, which was week 1. You've scored 46, 56, 48, and 52. Offensively, and again, with a team like Faulkton that's coming in, and no offense to the other 4 teams you've faced, going to be the toughest team to this point that you'll face. For an offense that has scored 46 points at the very least in a game, if things aren't as easy to get, or you're not scoring as many points, how key is it to make sure this offense doesn't get frustrated that they're not scoring as much, and to keep pressing forward in this game?
Yeah, that'll be the tough thing is how are we going to respond to some of that? We'll have some 3 and outs. We haven't had very many of those. We've only punted, 5-8 times the whole year in 4 games, so we're just not used to being in those situations, which is good. I mean, there's scoring 46 points. If we do that on Friday, I'll be extremely happy with that. We know it's not going to come that easy. It's going to be hard to score against with stuff. So it'll just be how are the kids going to react, and we'll work on stuff this week to take advantage of what we see on film and whatnot, just like they will do against us.
And the same goes on the defensive side, too. You gave up 6 points to Northwestern, 6 to Burke, 18 to Hitchcock-Tulare, and nothing against Potter County. Even if it's 14-14 game or 22-22 game, whatever it might be, if you're not getting the stops defensively right away, how important it is again for the defense to not get frustrated and to be able to go out and get that next stop, and especially key stops as the game gets later on.
Yeah, that'll be big. And that's one thing we've worked on the last several games is being in the correct alignments and just being sound where we need to be sound at. We've given a couple teams some advantages at times before we finally got to adjust a little bit. So, with Falcon, you're not going to be able to have a lot of second chances before they're going to capitalize on something. So, we've gotten better every single week defensively. Just playing physicality, meeting their physicality up front, and making things hard for them to do. So they're just not easy. Again, like we've talked about, I talked about, they've seen some good defenses throughout the year. So we have two, just might not have the personnel quite what Falcon has. So it'll be a different challenge, but it'll be a fun one.
To be at 4-0 at halfway point of the season, as we talk with Coach Tom Moore of the Sully Beach Chargers, they take on the Falkton Area Trojans on Friday night, but undefeated through the first 4 games of the season. What have you liked most about your team? Again, there's a lot to like about what your team has been able to do over the 4 games, but what's been the biggest thing that stands out of why this team has been as good as what it is?
I think the best is our versatility in offense, being able to run the ball, being able to throw the ball. And when we just got to kind of think we've done most of this without our one of our best football players in Gavin Barber of being injured for the last couple of games and still be able to work things around it. But Wes Whitler be able to throw the ball, that's been extremely handy. Where last year we struggled with that. It made us really, people load the box up with 7-8 people all the time against it, just make it hard to run. Now they got to honor the pass a little bit more with what he can do. So and our receivers be able to catch stuff. So. I think that's been the nicest thing that we've seen this year is the versatility of our offense.
Going into Friday, injury-wise, how's everybody doing? You mentioned Gavin Barber. How's everybody else doing as we get to the second half of the season?
Yeah, we had some bumps and bruises after Friday from looking at things, watching film and doing a little bit of stuff, install stuff yesterday. Those guys that were kind of banged up Friday were able to run around, move, do things with that. Gavin will be a game time situation if he's going to play or what we're going to do with him. So he's the only one as of right now that we're not sure if he's going to be able to play or not.
Again, talking with Coach Tom Moore of the Sully Beach Chargers. So, Coach, we'll wrap things up here with this final question: is biggest key to a win Friday night against the Falkton Area Trojans?
I think in a tight battle like this, it's going to come down to the turnovers. We've been fortunate; we haven't turned the ball over too many times. We've capitalized on some interceptions, some fumbles. And that's one thing. Falcon, they don't make a lot of those mistakes that we've gotten from other teams. So, who's going to handle the ball the best? Who's going to create the most turnovers to make that 22-20 game? Who's going to have a chance to score at the end will be the big part.
Well, Coach, hey, I appreciate the time as always. It's fun talking to you. Good luck on Friday night against Falkton Area Trojans, and we'll talk to you again soon.
You bet. I appreciate it. Thank you.
That is head coach Tom Moore of the Sully Beach Chargers, back with more Coach's Corner after this here on KCCR and online at kccrradio.com.
Capital City Ford Lincoln Toyota is serving the central South Dakota community and beyond with a great selection of used vehicles. Local trades and program vehicles are available. New Toyotas and new Fords are arriving and selling before they even hit the lot. So don't wait. Stop in and find out what's coming. If you've been thinking about ordering a new Ford, stop in and sit down with one of our sales specialists today. Capital City Ford Lincoln Toyota at 518 East Sioux Avenue in Pierre. Call 605-224-7378 and visit CapitalCityFordToyota.com.
It takes hard work to reach goals. It's a truth that applies to more than just sports. It also goes for your financial goals. You work hard for your money. You deserve an investment strategy that lines up with your game plan. Your local Edward Jones financial advisor can help. If your investments aren't getting you closer to the win, visit edwardjones.com or stop by your local Pierre area Edward Jones office for a financial review. Edward Jones, making sense of investing. Member SIPC.
You're listening to Coach's Corner on Central South Dakota's sports leader, KCCR.
You like that? You like that?
As we welcome back to Coach's Corner here on KCCR and online at kccrradio.com. Joining me is Coach Max Voth of the Stanley County Buffaloes, who will be taking on the Wall Eagles, another undefeated team. Things just don't get much easier for the Stanley County Buffaloes. It'll be the fourth time they're going to face an undefeated team this year. But first, let's go back to last week's game, Coach. A 44-16 loss to Gregory. A really fast start for you guys, up 16-0 early on in that game. But overall, your biggest takeaway from the game against Gregory?
Yeah, I think you nailed it. It was a great, fast start. We took advantage. We saw some things that we could take advantage of with Gregory right away in the game, and they like their press man coverage, and we scored on the first play of the game. A nice, beautiful touchdown pass from Deal to Bothwell, and yeah, it was gorgeous. And then defensively, we did a great job. Offensively, we scored some points right away. It was looking great, and then all of a sudden, it was just kind of snowball affected on us a little bit. After we scored to go up 16-0, the ensuing kickoff, Gregory takes it all the way down to about the 6 or 7 yard line, and then I think they scored on 4th and goal right there. So it was kind of a special teams issue that kind of led to that, and then after that, we still moved the ball really well over the course of the game. We outgained Gregory by about 100 yards, but this is a new record for me as a coach. We turned the ball over 7 times. So we had a case of the fumbleitis, and we threw some interceptions, and you can't turn the ball over that many times and expect to win football games. So it's a great learning experience for our guys. Hopefully we learned a good lesson from that, and it takes, everybody, and it takes all of us coaches, all of us players doing their job at the same time in order to be successful against a good team, which despite Gregory's record, I would put them up against just about anybody that we've played so far. They're tough, they're physical, they're pain. Their offense is really multiple. They did a nice job, and I felt like we slowed them down enough, but we just turned the ball over too many times to really be too competitive in that football game.
And I know that you don't want a moral victory, you just want to get those victories, but something to look at too, where you said too, 7 turnovers. If you limit it to maybe 1 turnover, it's a completely different look at the ball game. Somebody looks at the final score, doesn't see how things really went. That's how you see the final score, but obviously as things go along, that it's something very glaring to clean up, and not just that, well, Gregory just, we did everything right, and Gregory still beat us that way.
Yeah, for sure, and especially when, 2 of those fumbles that happened were inside the 20-yard line. One was inside the 10-yard line going in to score. So, it's too bad that those things happen, and nobody likes to fumble. Coaches don't like it, kids don't like it. Credit to Gregory. They did a great job of first guy there securing the ball, securing the tackle, second guy there, they're ripping out that ball, and we got to do a better job of holding on to it, and I think we've made that a point this week at practice, and I don't think we'll have that same issue again. I do have to credit, and then the injuries on top of that, John. It's been a tough season with those, and to have a couple more guys go down, Brendan Bothwell was having a heck of a game, and he tweaked his hamstring, and then Landon Bame was playing well as well, too, and then he has a lower leg injury and that type of deal, and it's frustrating, and you feel for those kids just because you know how much time they put into this sport, and for them to go down like that and not be able to come back into the game, your heart just hurts for them.
Yeah, and that's going to be so tough as a player, as a coach, as a teammate. To when you're healthy, when you're 100%, regardless of how everything's going, you feel good about how things are going, and then when you add on the injuries, and as a teammate, when you're the one not even getting injured, but you see your teammates go down, as a coach, you're kind of helpless watching these guys go down with injuries, and as players, you're helpless because you can't be out there on the field. There's a lot that goes into it, and it's not just for one player, it's not just for one coach. It does affect the team in a way that nobody can really help about it right now.
Right, yeah, and that's what's tough, and that's another reason why I love football so much. Is there's so much life lessons to be learned in this great sport, and it's like that's one of those tough ones that it's hard to learn it, but it's honestly something similar like that got me into coaching. So it's like, and I've already seen that at practice already this week. We're calling him Coach Bame already. Landon Bame is already chirping at our guys, talking to our DBs about what exactly they should be looking at, make sure they're reading their keys. So, those guys that are hurt are still involved in our team and still being great teammates, and that's wonderful to see as a coach.
Well, let's move on here to this week's game. Wall Eagles come into town. Good friend for you as the head coach comes in from Wall. They're 4-0, 9A team, and the last time you guys saw Wall, they were on their way. I think on their way to winning the state championship the last time you guys played them, and they're on a good spot right now to be competing for a 9A state championship too.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun going up against Coach Heathershaw. Lex is actually the reason why I took this job at Fort Pierre. He kind of convinced me to come here and come to Fort Pierre and come coach with me. And, we were actually assistants together for a few years here when I first got here. And I love him like a brother, and I hope they win every other game except for this one. So, yeah, it's been fun, and it's nice to get ready for another good opponent. What a challenge in front of us. It's been the same thing with our schedule all year this year. We're studying good teams, and we're going to have to play good football to have it be a good game to give ourselves a chance to win. So we feel like we've had a really nice week of practice. Obviously, I feel excited because I get to see Lex, and another added level to that excitement. We were so outmatched that first time we went up to Wall to play them. We were the 16 seed, they were the 1 seed, and we feel, despite our record, that we are a good football team, and we got to get ready to play another good football team. So we're looking forward to Friday night for sure.
And, you and I talked about this a couple weeks ago when you're going to go take on the Loyola Frederick Titans, who at that point were 2-0, and we kind of talked about the next week when they were 3-0, and you had faced 3 straight undefeated teams. It's, regardless of wins and losses, the amount of good teams that you're facing this year, it is an exciting challenge. And obviously, I mentioned that it doesn't get easier almost every single week, and some people maybe not believe me, but if you go look at how the Stanley County schedule is and you look at the records to the right of those teams, you know that I'm speaking the truth, that it doesn't get much easier every single week. But it is an exciting opportunity to face some of the best teams in the state, and not even just average teams, the best teams in the state.
Yeah, I think you're 100% right. It's so funny when you start looking at it and you see, the Hill Cities and the Loyolas and the Parkstons and, even Gregory, and now we got Wall, and coming up is Kimball, whose one loss is to Parkston. So it's one of those things. We're constantly being measured against some of the highest quality competition that's available at 9-man football. I look for several of these teams that we've played to make a ton of noise in the postseason this year, and hopefully, we start winning some of these games. Hopefully, we can get in that mix with them, and that's the next thing that we've talked about as a team is, we've wanted this good schedule. We wanted to play these good teams, and that's why we scheduled Wall when we had to this off season, is because we want to play that good competition, and we want to measure ourselves against the best. Because if you can compete with the best, if you can beat the best, then obviously you belong in that conversation as well. And I honestly think we're knocking at the door of that conversation. Our record is what it is. We've lost some games. We got to be able to go on and move on and play better. And I think we will this Friday night.
Talking with Max Foss of the Stanley County Buffaloes. Real couple quick questions here before we wrap things up. The Wall Eagles, your opponent, biggest thing that you've seen on film, what they do so well offensively and defensively?
Man, offensively, they're a pain to get ready for, just like Gregory. They've got a great option attack. They do a terrific job of not only being able to give the option to the back and run some outside zone stuff with it, but they do a great job of throwing off of that option look as well. So we've got to really be trusting of our defensive teammates. Everybody's got to be in the right spot each time and trust that, we know our middle linebacker is going to take care of this part. Our defensive end's got to take care of this part. We got to really do a good job of trusting each other, similar to what we did with Gregory. Like I said, we limited Gregory running the football. We really did a nice job of taking that away. So hopefully we could build on that and try to slow their rushing attack and try to keep them into some 3rd and longs where we know they're going to throw the ball instead of have a little bit of play action to deal with. So look for that defensively. And then offensively, similar to Gregory, Wall's very aggressive. They like to blitz. They like to play man coverage. Hopefully we can take some of their aggression and use it against them in some creative ways.
And final question, biggest key for the Stanley County Buffaloes to get a win Friday night?
I mean, you hate to say it because it's coach's cliche, but it's, hey, can we just let's not turn the football over or something less than last week. That'll give ourselves a really good chance to win the game on Friday night. We got to win the turnover battle. It seems simple, but we were a prime example of what happens when you don't do that last week. So I think we do a good job taking care of the football, both throwing and running the ball. We're going to give ourselves a chance in this game, and that's all we could ask for against a great team. Is we want a tight game going into the fourth quarter where it can go either way, hopefully some of our guys make some big plays.
Well, Coach, hey, appreciate the time as always. Good luck on Friday night. We'll talk to you again soon.
Sounds good. Thanks, man.
That is Max Voth of the Stanley County Buffaloes taking on the Wall Eagles on Friday, 7 o'clock kickoff from Ole Williamson Field. Back with more Coaches Corner after this here on KCCR and online at kccrradio.com. kccrradio.com.
Building a home. It's the biggest investment most of us make in a lifetime. Not to mention it's a decision that, well, you pretty much live with day and night. The quality of the workmanship stares back at you like a reflection. It also affects the value of your investment. Choosing the right contractor is critical. Kruger Contracting is that contractor. Call 222-2523. Quality workmanship and materials completed on time. Kruger Contracting. In a word, quality. Call 222-2523.
Look, it's no secret that owning a vehicle can cause a lot of stress, and they get a lot of wear and tear on them through every season. Graham Tire wants you to know that you can trust them with any problem that you have with your vehicle. They have fully trained ASE certified mechanics on staff, ready to handle it for you. From brakes and bearings to alignments and front ends. Let their experience work for you. Over 50 years combined means you can count on them. So if it's time for a transmission flush or even a simple oil change, the only name you need to know is Graham Tire, 421 West Sioux Avenue in Pierre.
That's a clown question, bro.
You're listening to Coach's Corner on KCCR and online at kccrradio.com.
As we welcome back to Coach's Corner on KCCR and online at kccrradio.com. Joining me is Coach Megan Balk of the Pierre Governor girls tennis team, who is into the final duel tomorrow, hosting St. Thomas More. Before then, the ESD tournament, and then will end up being Monday, Tuesday next week, and the state tournament the following week. So, Coach, it's good talking to you again. Big win yesterday, a 9-0 win over Spearfish. You guys did that earlier in the season. To do that again, did you see improvement? I know, 9-0 to 9-0. You're going to say, well, there's no improvement. But did you see improvement from when the first time you saw Spearfish to what these girls were able to do the second time they saw Spearfish?
Yeah, I definitely did. So the 9-0, I mean, that's maybe a little misleading because that's just how many how many matches you won versus how many they won. But within each of those matches, I saw improvement from each of the girls, and they each won by a more significant margin within each of their sets that they played on each match. I was very pleased with how much better they had gotten and just how much more efficient they were in doing what they needed to do for each of their particular matches.
Coming up tomorrow, St. Thomas More, that's a big duel for you guys with the fact that that'll be the final time that you see a Class A opponent. Obviously, Huron will be at the ESD as well, so you get to see them too. But final duel against a Class A opponent, how important it is for seeding-wise to be able to win as many of those matches as you can against St. Thomas More.
Yeah, it is. It's really critical. Anytime we can win against someone in our own state class, that's always critical for seed points. And with this being our last one, that's kind of leading us off onto tournament play. So it's important not just for seed points, but for the morale of the girls too. Just to go off on a win would be really, really positive for them. So it is important, and a few of the girls saw a couple of these St. Thomas More girls back at the Madison tournament. So a few of them will be repeat matches, but a lot of them will be new matches. It's critical for those seed points and to lock in where they deserve to be then as they calculate those for the state tournament.
Yeah, I was going to say, too, back on August 23rd and 24th in Madison, that big tournament that was held there, that St. Thomas More was there. That's the only time that you guys have been in the same vicinity, in the same location. So, yeah, for some of these girls, a chance to see if they've improved against St. Thomas More, but also on top of it to see what these other girls can do against the new opponent in St. Thomas More.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I mean, we've improved since the beginning of the season, but so have they, and so it's always nice to see how we're stacking up as we go into the state tournament then and see, what are the things we need to hit on our last few days of practice then.
And you also get to be at home tomorrow. You're home yesterday against Spearfish. You get to be home again tomorrow against St. Thomas More. How nice is that to close out the regular season?
Yes.
Obviously the ESD tournament, you'd love to be able to host it every single year, but long rotation before that comes back around. But to be able to close the regular season against St. Thomas More, how nice is that?
Yeah, oh, it's so nice, and especially with it being homecoming week. I mean, it's nice that we're able to play at home and kind of take out that travel time that we're so used to. And it's also nice that it's just a duel. Very rarely do we only play one team in a day, so that's kind of nice for us too, to kind of have a little bit of a breather before ESD hits next week. But yeah, we're really looking forward to it, and it's our senior day, and so we'll be recognizing our 2 seniors for their last home matches. So that's pretty special that we get to do that during homecoming week.
Now, we'll talk about those 2 seniors here in just a moment, but to go back to your point of playing only one team, obviously at this point in the season, everybody's starting to get a little bit tired and the fatigue is setting in, and the fact that you're only playing one team, how beneficial is it that you're staying on the court, but also only having to play one team on top of it?
Yes, it's so nice. Like when we played Spearfish yesterday, and that was, we actually got to go back to school afterwards. It was kind of weird.
Wow.
I know, right? That never happened. So that was kind of cool. And so, so tomorrow we start a little bit later. So we'll go to school and then go play our match. But it is nice. It's nice for the girls to have to, not have to miss so much school and not have to be, tired from traveling and then tired from playing 2+ teams every time we're out of town. And so it's just, it's nice to get that breather and nice to have a little bit of rest.
Talking with Megan Bauck of the Pierre Governor girls tennis team, who will be on the ESD. Well, they'll be tomorrow at home against St. Thomas More, then have the ESD tournament next Monday and Tuesday. I believe that's in Watertown. Yep. So that'll be next Monday and Tuesday. But let's talk about your 2 seniors, and Bailey Jetson, Ella Fisk are the 2 seniors this year, and what they've been able to do, what you've seen them been able to improve this year, but also be as senior leaders, be able to bring these young girls along who are now being almost a full season vet, but being able to bring them along as the year has gone on.
Yeah. Ella and Bailey have been amazing. They've been good even since the end of last season, just about stepping into that leadership role, taking on, the jobs that the captains need to do with just getting things ready in the preseason and throughout the season as well. They've been at almost every single summer practice we had. That, those are just the optional practices, but it just shows how committed they are. And they're always encouraging the younger girls. They play such a key role in helping teach the middle schoolers, just how to play, how to keep score, how to, have good court etiquette, how to, hit different strokes. And it's just so nice to have, good, responsible players like that I can depend on, that, if I'm not able to be on the court at that exact moment, that I know that they can help those younger girls work through whatever question they may have or things like that. And then just with their playing, they've both come so far. I've known them since they were freshmen now. And so it's just so cool to see how they've grown and progressed, and how they're able to, pass down their knowledge to the younger girls then. So it's been really cool to kind of see them grow up throughout the years here.
Now, and obviously a win for them tomorrow would be special to send them off at their home court with a win. But how important is it for them, or how exciting is it to see them start to get ready for this ESD one final time, and how what their excitement level is to play in the ESD?
Yeah, they're both really looking forward to it, and they play doubles together, so they're especially looking forward to doing that, as the last time. And they already asked me, can we play doubles last tomorrow, so that way we can walk off together for our final home match. And so it's just really cool to see, how close they are with each other, and how much this team is really meant to them. And and they're committed and determined to go out and give their very best effort at ESD. And they know it'll be a tough competition in that ESD conference, but they also know that, we've worked hard this season and we've made a lot of progress, and they're a big part of that. And so I think they're looking forward to going out and showing what we can do.
Now let's quickly talk to, we won't have Coach's Corner over the next couple of weeks, so we will get that chance to talk next week after ESD is done before the state tournament, but we can talk a little bit about the state tournament out in Rapid City. Obviously the ESD, you want to have a good showing in the ESD, but that also, regardless of the outcome of where you're at, gets you set and gets the mindset going for the state tournament, because they're both 2-day tournaments, and it really helps put in perspective of how the state tournament will be run. Even if you've done it a couple times already, it still puts you back in that mode to get ready for the state tournament.
Yeah, exactly. And with so many fresh faces to our varsity, a lot of them will be just kind of getting the nerves out in their first, tournament play here this week. And it's nice to, have ESD first and be able to get that out of your system, and so then you're a little bit more prepared for state and a little more ready. So yeah, just getting those freshmen that have, this is their first year playing varsity and playing in the stiff competition that is a tournament play like this is a little bit different than just playing a dual or a triangular or whatever. So it's a little different mindset shift, and so this is kind of a good way to start them in the postseason play.
And I'll quickly ask too. Obviously, it's sometimes cut and dry. Sometimes there's a little bit of question on who's going to be seated where as the state tournament begins. But as you're looking right now, how's everybody kind of looking? Kind of middle of the pack, maybe upper half of the bracket seed wise going in.
Yeah, for the most part, we're kind of upper half there. We're hoping. I would love a top 3 finish, but I would also be really happy with a top 5 finish. And a lot of the girls, they're kind of seated in that, or looking like they're gonna be seated kind of in that 5-ish range. A few higher, a few lower, but I know they're capable of giving their best effort no matter who they are up against. So I'm looking forward to see how those seeds pan out, and a few might be a little bit hit or miss of how they pan out, but I'm hoping for a good outcome, and I know the girls will do great regardless of how they end up seated.
All right, 2 more questions. I'll let you go. First question is, biggest key to success at the ESD tournament?
That's going to be just consistency and getting the nerves out right away. Everyone's nervous, and so if we can just be consistent and not let those nerves get the better of us, we'll do just fine.
Now, the other question is kind of, to put you on the spot a little bit, because I know you're focused on St. Thomas More and the ESD, but state tournament, biggest key to have a successful state tournament for these girls?
I'd say similar to ESD, getting the nerves out, being consistent, and then state tournament, we always place well when we do well in doubles. And so if we can lock in our doubles play right away, I think the singles will fall into play after that. So doubles will be key for our state tournament success.
Well, Coach, hey, I appreciate the time. It's fun talking tennis with you all season long, and looking forward to how these girls do tomorrow against St. Thomas More at home. 3 o'clock is the start, I believe, right?
1 o'clock.
1 o'clock. So 1 o'clock. 1 o'clock the start for the match against St. Thomas More at home tomorrow against St. Thomas More for the Pierre Governor girls tennis team. Then they'll be in Watertown Monday and Tuesday next week for the ESD tournament, and then the following Monday and Tuesday, that first Monday and Tuesday of October, overall the together will be the 7th and 8th will be the state tournament out in Rapid City. Coach, I appreciate the time as always. Good luck tomorrow. Good luck next week, and good luck as the season starts to wind down.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
That is head coach Megan Bauck of the Pierre Governor girls tennis team. Back with more Coach's Corner after this here on KCCR and online at kccrradio.com. kccrradio.com.
People helping people. Have you ever wondered what the benefits are of becoming a Owyhee Federal Credit Union member? At Owyhee Federal Credit Union, we reinvest profits in you. We do this in the form of lower interest rates, higher dividends, and low to no fees. So come check us out or come in at 221 East Pleasant Drive in Pierre, because at Owyhee Federal Credit Union, we treat our members like they own the place because, well, they do.
Owyhee Federal Credit Union.
At Shane's Pharmacy, your healthcare is important, and Shane wants to be the pharmacist to take care of you. Shane's Pharmacy will make sure your prescriptions are filled in a timely manner, they will answer your questions, and they will even deliver to your home or office. Call 223-9200. Shane's Pharmacy, the pharmacy you know and trust. The number again is 223-9200. Shane's Pharmacy in Fort Pierre, proud to support high school athletics.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Now I'm playing for real.
Yeah, you're doing pretty good. What play should I call now? Maybe corner 3.
He's hot. He is hot. Keep feeding that guy.
Now back to Coach's Corner with KCCR award-winning sports director John Winkler.
As we welcome you back to Coach's Corner on KCCR and online at kccrradio.com. Joining me is Coach Tiffany Benham of the Pierre Governor boys golf team as they get set for the ESD next week, Monday, and then we'll be in the state tournament the following week. And, Coach, let's talk about yesterday real quick. Went to Watertown, got a chance to play on the golf course. So it'll be at the for the state tournament. And what you saw from the team and what you liked from what the guys were able to do.
Well, yesterday we started out actually pretty strong. We were leading for the majority of the tournament, or would be right up, 1 or 2. And then I think we just kind of stumbled at the end there in our last few holes, finishing. All of our boys, I felt like, need to probably be able to finish a little bit stronger. We gave away too many strokes there at the end, and we ended up going from first to third place, so we were a little bit disappointed there. But we know that we can all play very well there. The only problem is our competition can too sometimes also.
Well, and that's the thing, too, is that Watertown obviously is not just Watertown being the competition for a state championship, but they are one of those teams, and it is their home course, and that, I'm not going to say it gives them an unfair advantage, but it does give them an advantage, and, maybe puts a little bit of extra pressure. Obviously, you probably don't want to give the golfers extra pressure or make it extra pressure, but it probably does give a little extra pressure knowing that Watertown's basically is at home for the state tournament.
Oh, of course. I mean, anybody who gets to play on their home course has a huge advantage. However, we are actually pretty fortunate with this group of 6 boys because they have played this course many times. They also play it on the junior tour. They make it one that they always want to attend because they have looked, to the future and knew that they were going to be playing their senior state tournament there, or even in Tate Stosser's instance, he knew he was going to have to play there probably his freshman year. So they have put in time over the summer and actually have driven there several times on their own just to play the course to be prepared for this actual state tournament.
Let's talk a little bit about the season as well, because you've won a couple of team titles over the course of the season. Obviously, one being here in Pierre at the home course. But Sawyer Sunshine has got 3 wins in a row. That has won 4 individual ones. Nick Bothan picked up a win. He was the best golfer for Pierre yesterday too, in the top 5 with a 1 under par as well in Watertown. We talked about at the beginning of the season how good this team is, and the expectations that they had on themselves, that you had on as a team, and they to this point have really lived up to those expectations of getting individual wins and getting team wins.
We are actually pretty lucky because we have 5 individual wins where our competition, no one else has that many wins. So we're pretty fortunate on that side. So they know that they can win. We just have to put everybody together on the same day because we got to take 4 scores to get that team title. And ultimately, we want to win a team title. I mean, they do. I mean, there are people who want to win an individual title, of course, but their ultimate goal is the team title.
ESD is coming up on Monday in Aberdeen. You guys went there back at the beginning of September. Sawyer Sunshine did. That was when he won his 3rd straight individual title, and they got 2nd in Aberdeen. But a chance to go back there again. I know the main focus we're kind of talking about is the state tournament, but still have that ESD to go, and that's a big accomplishment if anybody comes away with an individual or a team title for the Pierre Governors.
Of course. Well, we played really well in Aberdeen last time, but now we're actually changing courses for ESD. We're going to move over to Moccasin Creek, and when we were there last time this year, we were at Lee Park. So we have to, completely adjust for a much harder course, but we're going to go on Sunday and play a practice round and prepare for that. And it's going to be a hunt again because our ESD conference is the exact same competition we have for our state title. So we're not going to have anything handed to us. And this group of boys has actually never won an ESD title. So that's something that we actually want to do before they leave.
Of course, there's so many different factors in golf. The golf course itself, the way the temperature is, the day is, the wind direction, if it's sunny, if it's rainy, all those different factors, it can be so much different from one day to the next, and especially one golf course to the next. But how much confidence can this bring for an ESD, a strong showing at the ESD, to give these guys that extra boost going towards the state tournament?
I think they have prepared enough, probably maybe more than many schools have. The biggest thing that we have to do is we have to be able to keep our emotions in check because sometimes we let little things bother us and we can't get over them, and then that's where we stumble on the next hole. So if we can forget the last shot and move on, we can be successful.
You mentioned that you're going to take the practice round. You're going to get a practice round in Aberdeen on Sunday. And I, kind of drawing a blank on when I was talking with DT this morning on the air about, the state tournament. Do you guys get a chance to have a practice round in Watertown on that Sunday? Or, because for some reason, I feel like there was a rule or something, but do you guys get a chance to go out to Watertown on that weekend before the state tournament?
Yes, everybody has a chance to play that Sunday before the start of the state tournament, so we will head out there that Sunday and play our practice round.
Again,
we might even adventure out there one more time before. But for sure, we'll play it one more time before we actually have the state tournament.
And talk with Coach Tiffany Benham here of the Appear boys golf team, and after Monday, you guys don't have anything until that Monday and Tuesday of the next week for the state tournament. So it does give you that option. Obviously, Watertown's we're not used to, or we're not unfamiliar with a long travel for a day. It's, not like you can drive 30 minutes to go play the course, but it does give you that chance between Monday and Monday of being able to go out there a couple times, obviously with that practice round Sunday for sure, but it gives you that chance to be able to maybe, take a practice to get out there.
Right. Well, I think what we'll do is we'll see how we play together as a team at ESD, and then we'll make that decision if we need to make another trip to Watertown before we actually have our practice round. So we could play it 2 more times before the state tournament, or we could just play it 1 more time before the state tournament. We'll just kind of see what happens at ESD, and then we'll go from there.
A couple more questions here. The first question, and maybe might be the same answer for both those questions, but first, the biggest key for you guys to have a successful ESD, to whether it be winning a ESD title, individual title, whatever that means, what's the biggest key for success on Monday?
The biggest key is to not, if you make a mistake, don't dwell on it, because you got to move on. Because that's sometimes something that we have struggled with, like I said before. So if we can remember that, move on from a mistake, we can be okay.
And I guess, going into that final question, and maybe it's a 2-part question, because it's a 2-day state tournament, not the normal 1 day. And you guys have done that many times in the state tournament, but done that one other time here this year. What's the key to success to be able to have a successful state tournament, knowing that it's also 2 days too?
Well, not necessarily worry. If we're in the top 4 after day 1 at a state tournament, it's anybody's game, because we know that, because our scores are so close. We're talking like 1 stroke each tournament between first and second place, and everybody knows that. So if you're not necessarily winning on day 1, that doesn't mean you can't win the tournament on day 2. So I think just remember, each day we have to take each day as it comes, and not worry too much, because we know it definitely will be a tight race.
Well, Coach, hey, I appreciate the time. It's fun talking golf. It's fun to watch this golf team play so well throughout this entire season. Just a couple more meets to go with the ESD on Monday, and then the state tournament the following week. Good luck coming up this Monday. Good luck in the state tournament, and we'll be. I know we won't have coaches score the next week, but we'll be talking again soon, getting ready for that state tournament. So good luck on Monday, and thanks for the time.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for the time, and thank you for showing interest in our boys.
Absolutely. That is Coach Tiffany Benham of the Appear boys golf team. We will return with more Coaches Corner after this here on KCCR and on YouTube and online at kccrradio.com. KCCR Radio.
This fall, take some time to think about your future while the leaves make their way down to earth and the last sunset of summer leaves us with an autumn chill. It's time to grab the nearest foam finger and break out the face paint. Rush the stands with First Dakota National Bank and forget how to blink. All sports are back with jaw-dropping plays, an electric atmosphere, and epic scores. Make some noise with First Dakota National Bank. Open a new account online today at firstdakotanationalbank.com. Member FDIC.
Capital City Ford Lincoln Toyota is serving the central South Dakota community and beyond with a great selection of used vehicles. Local trades and program vehicles are available. New Toyotas and new Fords are arriving and selling before they even hit the lot. So don't wait. Stop in and find out what's coming. If you've been thinking about ordering a new Ford, stop in and sit down with one of our sales specialists today. Capital City Ford Lincoln Toyota at 518 East Sioux Avenue in Pierre. Call 605-224-7378 and visit CapitalCityFordToyota.com.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Now I'm playing for real.
Hey, you're doing pretty good. What play should I call now? Maybe corner 3.
He's hot. He is hot. Keep feeding that guy.
Now back to Coach's Corner with KCCR award-winning sports director John Winkler.
Back inside the KCCR studios one more time here on this Wednesday night. We want to mention, too, next couple of weeks we will not have Coach's Corner. We've got baseball playoffs, so we'll have the MLB playoffs here both the next 2 Wednesdays, the first 2 Wednesdays of October. So we will return and we'll have our next Coach's Corner. That will be on October 16th. That'll be the next time that we have Coach's Corner here on KCCR and online at kccrradio.com. I want to say thanks to our coaches and Steve Steele, the Pierre Governors, Tom Moore, the Sully Beast Chargers, Max Foth of the Stanley County Buffaloes, also the Pierre Boys Golf head coach and Tiffany Benham, as well as also the Pierre Girls Tennis Team head coach and Megan Bow, because they are set for the ESD and the state tournaments coming up next week and the week after. Pierre Tennis will also be at home tomorrow as they will host their final duel of the season, taking on St. Thomas More. That'll be at Griffin Park Tennis Courts at 3 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. And again, join us for Thursday Night Football tomorrow night. We've got Pierre football, then Friday night, a slew of college football games on Saturday, as well as the NFL on Sunday and Monday night. And then, of course, next Tuesday, it starts the baseball playoffs with the Wild Card Series, which will be heard here on KCCR. That wraps up another edition of Coach's Corner. We'll see you on October 16th for 5:30 to 6:30 on KCCR and online at kccrradio.com. October 16th, our next Coach's Corner on KCCR. Have a good rest of your Wednesday. We'll join the Braves and Mets already in progress here on KCCR.
You've been listening to Coach's Corner on KCCR and online at kccr.com. Coach's Corner is brought to you by Todd's Electric, Shane's Pharmacy, Lamb Motors, Avera, Owyhee Federal Credit Union, Edward Jones Financial, Graham Tire, Kruger Contracting, CHS River Plains, Gales Gas, Bank West, and Capital City Ford, Lincoln, and Toyota. To hear the show again, head to YouTube at KCCR Sports for shows at any time. This has been a special presentation of Riverfront Broadcasting Sports, Central South Dakota's sports leader.